Hello, this is the Tradesight US Stocks and Futures Market Preview for Thursday, the 2nd of November and Friday, the 3rd of November, 2017. As usual, we don't usually do a market preview Thursday night for Friday because most of the week is played out. Fridays tend to be a little bit tame, so this will cover the next 2 days in the markets. Let's look at the daily charts as a few things, then we'll look at the intra-day action from Wednesday where we did have the Fed announcement, no rate hike at all, no rate change anyways. And then we'll look at the economic data that's left this week. So here's the ES front month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the broad market and futures form. I'd like to tell you something new. There's nothing new. These candles are so small, so uneventful. And, again, today when we talk about the numbers, we'll see how poor the net was even with the Fed. Crude oil loses 2 cents to 54.27.5. Basically a blip there. Gold gains $6.80. Not much going on there. The S&P cash index was up $4.10, 4.10 points. It's technically, I believe, a new closing high. It doesn't really matter because it's not that much of one. It's like everything else around here lately. You rep a point every day, and we talk about new highs in the markets like they matter when they're not aggressive. The NDX, the NASDAQ 100, literally up 0.09. So that makes that a new closing high. Both of those indices did close lower than they opened. Just keep that in mind. No sell signals yet. Meanwhile, here's the SOX, the semiconductor index, down $4.10, and it's still under the risk line of that 13 sell signal. Biotechs look awful, down 20.96. They cracked the lows of the last Friday. We're heading back to that red static trend line. And if we crack the lows from back in August, this is not good for the biotechs. And as go banks and biotechs, so there's the market. VIX gains 2 cents to 10.20. Not much there. Trend 0.83, the 10-day moving average at 1.06. We have not gotten the low trend readings lately. NASDAQ volume, 2 billion shares, about where it's been. It's good volume, just not getting the movement. Advanced decline ratio on the NASDAQ was down 502, so in other words, or 510. So 510 more stocks down than up. On the New York, it was plus 227. Google gains $9.56. That's a new closing high on Google, but Apple was down 215 after sweeping the highs. Couldn't hold it. Amazon down $1.60. Not much there. Netflix up $1.57. Still have that 13 sell signal there. Goldman Sachs up $1.73. Swept to new highs since back in March or so, but didn't hold it. That should give us that's a 12. So we're going to have a 13 sell signal here soon on Goldman. The TLT, the 20-year bond ETF, up 29 cents. Tesla down $10.45. And then what you really want to see is let's slide to the intraday action. Let's change our time template here and look at 24 hours worth of trading because Tesla down another 15 points post-market after earnings come out. Also, Facebook had earnings come out today, and they're talking about spending a lot of extra money to solve some of their problems. They're down just a couple points. It really doesn't matter from that perspective. So those are the two with earnings going after the bell today. Let's take a look at the ES intraday. So again, the broad market gapped up, took all the way until the Fed announcement almost to fill the gap. So you're basically dead flat for the session. Then you go and the Fed announcement comes out, you pop for a second. There was no three-way phenomenon as we usually like to see. There wasn't really anything to talk about. And you close, like I said, up 4 on the S&P. Meanwhile, the NASDAQ, the NDX, so gapped up, filled, went lower, plunged ahead of the Fed announcement, came back up. And then, by the way, it did not respond to the Fed announcement. It was already back up by the time the Fed announcement happened. And the afternoon was just dead. So we're not getting any action even following these announcements. All right, in terms of economic data left this week, Thursday, Challenger job cuts, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. We got the weekly unemployment claims at 8:30. We've got non-farm productivity along with unit labor costs at 8:30. Natty gas at 10:30. And then on Friday, we got the unemployment rate, which means we get the non-farm payroll numbers with it, which is the big number, of course. That's the one that matters. Obviously, the non-farm payroll numbers have been about the same as they've always been. There's not much difference here. The unemployment rate continues to sink as it has for the last 8 years. Trade balance down comes out at the same time, so another one of our big three. Final services PMI at 9:45 a.m. Eastern time. ISM non-manufacturing PMI. Factory orders, that's at 10, and that's it. So that's Friday. So again, Thursday, a little bit of data. Friday, some more important data. Two big ones in the unemployment rate and the trade balance an hour before the bell. That means that, you'd like to think that Thursday we could shake, lose, and move because we're past the Fed, but you think maybe not when you got two big numbers Friday morning, and then, of course, Fridays are Fridays. We do have the time change this weekend. We'll talk about that in the over weekend report. and see what we get. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading Thursday and Friday.